Tonight's big story. So authorities have denied it, but talks are still swirling that there are destabilization efforts against the Marcos administration. We'll get into that with the help of One News defense editor Manny Mogato.
Authorities are looking into 4 motives behind the killing of radio broadcaster alias Johnny Walker in Misamis Occidental, who was shot dead while he was live on air. Police releases a composite sketch of one of the suspects.
And more drama in the House of Representatives. Senior Deputy Speaker and Pampanga Representative Aurelio Gonzalez Jr. resigned as a member and officer of the PDP Laban Party. He also called former President Rodrigo Duterte a threat to the lower house.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Sean Yao.
Straight into our top story, and first to acknowledge that we are all finally back. It has been many weeks since we were all on this couch together, and there's a lot to get through today. So again, sorry, coming back to the top story. Is there or is there not a destabilization plot against the Marcos administration? Well, the rumor mill went into overdrive over the weekend after AFP Chief General Romeo Browner mentioned in a speech that there were people plotting to destabilize the government.
Marami po tayong naririnig ngayon masasabi natin mga destabilization efforts. May mga nagsasabi na dapat palitan ang ating Pangulo dahil sa maraming rason. Sadly, some of them were former officers of the armed forces of the Philippines. At nakausap ko yung iba sa kanila. Panawagan ko sa ating mga kasundaluhan, officers and enlisted personnel, huwag tayong sumama sa mga ganitong mga movements.
But shortly after, Browner and other heads of security agencies walked back his comments. Browner says he was taken out of context and that there were no such coup plots.
It was taken out of context kasi pag sinabi nating plot, parang plano na ito na i-execute na lang, no? So, ang sinabi ko during my statement was that may mga naririnig tayo na mga ugong-ugong ng mga destabilization efforts, no? Yun yung specific word na ginamit ko. So I did not use the word plot.
AFP spokesperson Colonel Medel Aguilar was among the first to shut down the issue, saying that Browner had been misquoted. Aguilar also said that Browner merely reported efforts by certain individuals to upset the peace and stability that the country is enjoying under the leadership of President Marcos.
Malaman din yung explanation ni National Security Advisor Eduardo Año. Ang sabi niya, there are healthy and passionate exchanges and debates among former military officers and even some criticism in the policies of the current administration. But they are within the bounds of democratic space. At dagdag pa niya, there is no destabilization plot or movement against the government and that the AFP and the entire security sector are loyal to the Commander-in-Chief.
So, okay, bakit nga ba to big deal? Well, as far as I can remember, no, the two EDSA, especially the second one when I was actually old enough.
Rumors?
It all began with rumors of, unhappiness,
Yeah, there was
tensions
talk within the armed
AFP.
forces.
And then, before ma-cement yung pag-overthrow ng isang gobyerno, they need the cooperation of the armed forces. So it's
Of course.
really, really such a big thing.
Well, they do have the arms, the capabilities to carry out a change in government. But I wonder if this has something to do with the shift of alliances that we're seeing also in the House of Representatives.
Exactly. There seems
they
to be some
related?
movements over there. Of course,
Also pretty big movements.
Of course, we don't know the extent of it. I'm sure there's a lot of backstory to that. But the thing that I wanted to point out was, remember that ouster plot against former President Duterte?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why are we not?
Of which I was
Now
a
we
part
can,
of.
correct.
Yeah.
Now we
You were
can
part-
laugh about it. But back then, di ba, that must have been scary for you
That
to be
was,
named on national TV
That was
as
kind of crazy
part
because
of the
I was with
Matrix.
Heidelin Diaz there. And
correct.
also, I think fast food was also included. That's why it was immediately discredited. But it was scary. being, tagged just like that.
Yeah, you could be arrested for sedition. I mean, that's
And
no laughing matter.
also, I was thinking about how paranoid the government was about, anything that you say they could already red tag you with. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that holds here.
Yeah, and this is why we're, really trying to follow this story where it takes us, right? Because this is a very important story, and if there is something behind it, then we would want to know.
Well, I think we should also mention that there have been a lot of movements within the AFP. On one hand, there is modernization, which I'm assuming they are happy with. On the other hand, MUP reform, we've been talking about it also so much. And maybe the murmurs had just something to do with that, but I don't know if we'll ever find out the real story.
The problem is General Browner walked back his comments, right? So we don't know if nadulas ba to, or did he
Just maybe say it the wrong way?
Exactly. Maybe he really was taken out of context. He didn't mean to say something like that, or maybe there was something there he didn't want to talk about it just
the
yet.
satisfaction, I don't think we can afford that now that we have external threats also in terms of
Exactly.
security,
That's
right?
a great point. Exactly. So the question is, what's the AFP doing to nip all these in the bud? Let's bring in mobile journalist Yeda Pascual for that. Yeda, what do you have?
Reg, Colonel Medel Aguilar said it straight that the Marcos Jr. administration has nothing to worry about. He said that while some active military personnel are indeed being asked to join these kinds of movements, the AFP is on top of the situation, monitoring and conducting all kinds of information dissemination to its troops.
We are very confident na wala talagang problema po. Wala pong any attempt to destabilize or there is no plot to destabilize the Marcos government.
Now, on the side of the PNP Police Chief Benjamin Acorda admitted that issues on the pension system reform were among those aired by some of their personnel, but he said these have been sorted out.
All these issues are properly addressed, and there is no reason para magiging demoralized or for the PNP members na maging aktibo or mag-participate sa mga destabilization.
So there you have it, Reg, our top security officials denying any attempts of destabilization, but also admitting the internal issues that have been hounding their ranks. Reg?
Thanks for that update, mobile journalist Yeda Pascual.
And to help us make sense of all of this news, we have with us One News Defense Editor Manny Mogato. Welcome to the big story. Welcome to the show.
Magandang gabi.
Okay, Sir Manny,
Welcome
okay,
back.
unang-una, ano nga ba ang difference ng destabilization effort at destabilization plot at coup d'etat? Kumbaga
Naku,
parang medyo nagkakaano tayo sa terms eh.
Well, in the past, I've been covering destabilization, attempts, plot, efforts. Parang pare-pareho lang eh. Pero, pag sinabi mong plot, there's already a plan. A coup is already an execution of the plan.
Like it's happening now.
So, happening. But yung efforts, baka ugong-ugong lang. No? In this case, what I've been hearing is that there are some people who are not happy with the president. And these are former generals who were talking to active duty officers in golf courses, in class meetings, PMA class meetings, and trying to agitate them. But who will benefit if the president is removed?
Is it an organized effort? Kasi iba yung
Well,
satisfaction, debates, and consolidated effort to
There are
Stabilize.
debates, but I don't think these are very serious efforts to unseat President Marcos.
Hindi ba lagi namang may talk? I mean,
Of
you can't
course,
please
there are
everyone.
always grumblings.
Always.
Exactly.
What
Because
makes this
when you
different?
promote someone, when you appoint someone to position, may mga nasagasaan. Diba?
correct, yeah.
So, grumblings are just ordinary. But when they come into plotting against the president, that's something else. But the military is looking into two things when it comes to efforts to destabilize or unseat the president. One is the intent. Second is the capability. No? If there is an intent, how strong is the intention to unseat the president? And the capability is another thing because you need funding for this kind of activities. No? In the past, 30 years ago, we have seen that there are politicians, there are businessmen who are funding the efforts of the anti-Aquino, Cory Aquino forces at that time. During Gloria Arroyo's time, there were also efforts to unseat her. Again, some politicians and businessmen are also behind this. So there is some kind of funding. During Estrada's time, it succeeded because there were some people who were funding the efforts to unseat the president. But this time, I don't see any efforts from businessmen or politicians to unseat President Marcos. I think he's still popular.
The context, though, I just wanted to ask. He did say these statements in a change of command ceremony, meaning it's kind of a
Nadulas.
controlled crowd, right? Nadulas.
So you suspect nadulas nga siya?
Di naman siya business forum eh. Parang kabaro niya kasi yung mga yun, tao niya
Yes.
yung mga yun. So
Yes.
that would have something to do with it, diba? We tend to talk differently pag close natin yung mga tao.
Yes, I agree. I think he was trying to dissuade the soldiers from joining any,
Or remind?
Yeah, maybe to dissuade them from joining any activities that would embarrass, upset, or destabilize this government.
So parang inuunahan na lang niya. Huwag kayong mag-ano.
Because meron nang narinig eh. He has been hearing a lot of things. No? I think these rumors have been going on for the last 3 months.
Itong grumblings na to, Manny, from roughly how many people are we talking about? Do you think this is a large subsection of the authorities,
No,
the armed forces, or
no.
konting-konti lang talaga?
Konting-konti lang, yeah.
Okay.
And what I heard from the intelligence people is that there are generals who are loyal to the former president who might be instigating.
Which former president?
Duterte.
Duterte.
You know. So, ganun. Because, you know, the alliance is breaking up.
Yes.
No?
So
We were
may
just
mirroring
commenting-
nga, no?
Oo nga, we were just
House of
commenting
Representatives.
about what's happening today in the lower house and how kung baga may chance kaya na related itong mga pangyayari na ito.
There could be, no? Kasi I think there is an exodus of former PDP members jumping ship already.
Isa-isa di ba?
Isa-isa,
Pakonti-konti.
konti-unti,
But
oh.
today, it was, of course, party treasurer Dong Gonzales.
Yes.
Di ba? Medyo complicated din yun, Manny, kasi kaprobinsya niya si Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo and hindi sila magka-party. It's complicated, but I think they are on good terms. So, siya yata yung pumalit kay Gloria, di ba? Nung na-demote si Gloria. Would this all, can you say that it's obviously related, or are we just like taking stabs in the dark trying to make sense of all these events?
There are a lot of moving parts, no? We cannot just say na this could be related or it is not related, it's isolated. So there are actually many moving parts that we don't know. No? But maybe in the next few weeks, months, it will unravel.
Is that what you're waiting for?
Well, I don't think there will be a attempt to for a coup attempt, no, because that would take a lot of money, a lot of efforts, a lot of recruitment, and I don't see it happening. Politically, yes, there could be a political coup.
Anong ibig sabihin ng political coup, Manny?
Well, in the lower house, some people might move to unseat the speaker.
Same as what happened in
Yes.
Ano year yun? Was it 2019?
19, yeah.
2019, yeah.
But it depends on how strong the movements are. But I don't see that also happening because as of now, majority of the congressmen
Are expressing support.
are expressing support for the
Oo.
speaker.
But what could be the reason for dissatisfaction amongst the soldiers? Is it because of the changing of positions? Kasi dito nag-swap ng posisyon si Major General Crespillo at si Lieutenant General Gonzales doon kung saan nadulas si ano.
Si General Browner.
Oo, General Browner. At nung January 8, 2023, remember, nagkaroon ng fake news daw on a supposed memorandum na parang naka-full alert daw ang PNP dahil may destabilization. There might be destabilization efforts also. Change of command ceremony din yon kay Centino at kay Bacaro. So, could that also be a reason, yung swapping of positions and
Not so much, I think, but there are some people, lower level, who were unceremoniously replaced. No? And what we are seeing is a consolidation of power. So those people who are loyal to President Marcos are being put in place. And those people who are known to be loyal to the former president are being removed. So it's not only the military, but in Malacanang, there are so many
The executive
replacements.
branch as well.
USEC, ASEC, directors. So it's natural because President Marcos and his political circles are trying to consolidate power.
how likely is it that it's also because of the MUP reform?
Hindi siguro.
Hindi.
Oo.
Kasi parang
Well, but
satisfied
that's
na
an
sila
issue that is being exploited. But
to explain.
to explain. But the soldiers have to understand that the government is not in a position to finance their pension. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So they have to understand that.
Manny, I guess this all boils down to whether or not the AFP is satisfied with their commander-in-chief, President Bongbong Marcos. You have been working defense for a long time. You know all of these generals. What is the general sentiment on the ground? Are they satisfied or are they not satisfied, broadly speaking?
Generally, the soldiers are satisfied. Well, number one, because of the president's position on South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea. Unlike before, President Duterte tends to be pro-China.
More pro-China, yeah.
So now, everybody's happy. And I think the president is trying hard to find resources to modernize the armed forces. And the US, Japan, and other allies are also helping out. So I don't see the military to be very unhappy with the president.
Okay, and it's because, do you feel like the military would prefer their commander-in-chief to be pro-West over pro-China?
Well, the military is pro-West because of the training, because of the
The
rotation.
resources.
The history.
Most of the generals were trained in the US or in Australia or other countries that are allies to the US. There were only very few who were trained in China. No? I mean, trained because they attended defense colleges in China. But we have generally a pro-American military.
Sabi rin ni General Browner, nakausap daw niya ang iba sa kanila at sinabi daw niya, you have the right to do that because we are in a democracy, but please don't involve active personnel of AFP. So yung fact na nakausap niya sila, doesn't that fall under sedition? And when does it
They cross the line,
Yeah,
Nakausap
sedition.
niya yung ilang retired generals.
Mukhang nung retired nang nakausap
Retired
niya.
generals. Because it is also a known fact among the intelligence that some of these generals loyal to former President Duterte are moving around. They're not only talking to soldiers, they're also talking to local officials. especially in Mindanao.
Kumbaga nangangampanya. In a
Or
way.
just shooting the breeze, maybe. I don't know. I mean, sabi nga ni Manny, nasa golf course, right? You're just talking amongst yourselves. Baka naman, lang, they're just letting off steam.
A casual comment,
Oh.
perhaps. Is it
Baka
possible?
gusto niyo sumama.
Ganun yung dala.
Dapat matuto na rin kayo mag-golf. Marunong kayo mag-golf.
Yeah, no. Tsaka mga PMA class meetings ang usually
Mga reunion
pinupuntahan
nila.
No.
That's right.
Pero tulad nga ng nasabi kanina ni Sean, mainit nga ang ganap sa Kamara kanina. Senior Deputy Speaker in Pampanga, 3rd District Representative Aurelio Gonzales Jr. has resigned from the Duterte-led political party PDP Laban at may pag-name drop pa na nangyari. Gonzales named his party mate and former President Rodrigo Duterte as the person responsible for assailing the integrity of the lower house. Let's listen to it.
I will resign now as member and officer of PDP Laban. The former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the one who said that, Mr. Chairman.
He has said so many derisive utterances before, and he must answer for all of this, and I fully support this resolution, Mr. Chairman. And that
Now for some context, this took place in a meeting of the House Committee of the Whole earlier today, where lawmakers discussed a resolution that seeks to uphold the honor and integrity of the House. This resolution also sought to express appreciation, solidarity, and support for the leadership of Speaker Martin Romualdez. The resolution was initially questioned by Albay Representative Edsel Lagman, pero nag-explain naman dyan si Presidential Son and Senior Deputy Majority Leader Sandro Marcos.
for the record, what recent events transpired subverting the integrity of the House of Representatives to merit the consideration of this resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I believe, as you know, during the break, there were threats against one of our House members and the House itself. I could not give you the exact date, but I understand that it was done on a certain TV network, and some words were said to malign the reputation of our institution.
October 10 yon nangyari sa SMNI.
You mean the interview that you're talking about? Yes.
Oo, where former President Duterte called the Philippine House of Representatives as the most rotten institution in the country.
That was, of course, budget season, di ba? At alam natin, yung usap-usapan nung panahon na yun is yung confi funds na hindi
That
nga
was
naibigay.
coming off the back
It was,
of confidential funds debate. That's right.
The question is, karugtong ba dito sa pinag-uusapan nating abandoning ship, so to speak?
Well, it's possible because the confidential funds, according to some people, will be used to create a national organization for Sara in preparation for her 2028 presidential run. So there was a politician who is doing the organization, maybe using the confidential funds.
Active politician or like ex or retired?
Ex-politician.
Ex-politician. Sino kaya yun? Mamaya na lang. Pero yun na nga Sir Manny. So, yun na yung pinag-uusapan natin. So, ano yung may expect natin? No? It's also, of course, midterm elections in 2025. Is this early posturing as some people posit on social media and, opinion columns?
I was surprised because in the past, the break from the administration would come after the midterm elections. Because in the midterm election, everybody wants to be on the president's side. In fact, in 2019, 12-0, di ba?
So,
all the
nagbago
presidents.
sa ihip ng hangin?
Well, because some people are trying to push out Sara Duterte. First, by defunding her office of this confidential intelligence fund. Malaki yun, 650 million. No? So, that I think started it all.
Although, of course, we have to be fair and point out House Speaker Martin Romualdez said, trabaho lang,
Trabaho lang.
walang personalan.
And because maybe the speaker also is trying to present himself as an alternative in 2028.
Medyo nagbago rin yung mga, the tone of Speaker Romualdez. It also has changed, especially with regard to itong pinag-uusapan nating house shifts. Right? Biglang nagbago rin yung ihip ng hangin ni Speaker Romualdez.
Pakinggan muna natin kung
Sige,
anong
sige.
tono ni
Meron ba?
Speaker Romualdez.
Meron naman pa.
Tatayo ako laban sa sinuman na mananakot sa atin para masunod lamang ang gusto nila. Itindig ako tayong lahat para sa kapakanan ng bayan.
Who do you think he's...
Very noble.
Oh, who do you think he's referring to there?
Well, the threat would come from the former president and former speaker.
Gloria Macapagal.
Well, the former president also said in that SMNI interview that ito nga, malaki ang pork barrel. There's no limit
Duterte,
to the
linawin
pork
natin. Ang dami
barrel
natin
funds.
si President Duterte.
President Duterte, sinabi niya, accusing also the leadership of House Speaker Martin Romualdez. And the House also, they met today to pass a resolution expressing support for the Speaker. Pero ang tanong dyan, inag-sign ba si former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo?
Oh, that's a
Parang
very
yung party-
important signature.
Yung party niya, pumirma. Diba?
Kasi magkapatid
siya.
sila eh.
Oh,
Si Gloria and the speaker belong to the same party. Lakas.
correct.
But former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo was among those who did not sign the resolution. Again, even though her party, as you said, is part of the multi-party coalition that signed it, she herself did not sign it. And it's
Is
a
that-
very important signature
Is
on
that
that
playing
document.
safe? Because, either way, you could say, well, my party signed it even if I didn't. And then if the things go another way, then she can say, well, I didn't sign it. My party did, but I
it's
didn't.
a telling, no? Because if Gloria Arroyo did not sign, that means she's not in favor of the resolution.
Yun lang yung malinaw for now.
Yun ang malinaw. Oh.
Well, we can speculate for now about all the things that's happening in the House of
Well,
Representatives.
because
and-
maybe she was expecting that after Bongbong Marcos won last year, she will be named speaker because she helped bring together Sara and,
The unity.
and Marcos.
Yun nga lang, na-demote, ano?
No, oo.
Quote-unquote,
Eh, kaso
naging,
gusto ni
deputy.
Presidente yung pinsan.
Okay, we'll see if this is the end of it or if it develops further.
It will develop more into something else.
Okay. We'll just have to wait and see. As for now, we just don't have a crystal ball. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. One News Defense Editor, Manny Mogato.
Thank you.
We're going to pause for a quick one right now, but after that, a radio anchor is murdered while on air, the fourth journalist killed since President Marcos took office last year. The latest on that case when we return. Keep it here.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. Authorities say that personal motives could be the reason behind the killing of radio host Juan Humalon, better known as DJ Johnny Walker, in Misamis Occidental. Humalon was shot dead while he was live on air on Sunday. This took place at around 5 a.m. while Humalon was hosting his program, Pahapyod sa Kabuntangon, which airs on the Facebook page of Kalamba 94.7 Gold FM. CCTV footage showed this man entering Humalon's radio booth, which is located inside his residence. On that live stream video, Humalon paused from his radio announcements and looked away from the camera. He was then shot in the face by the assailant, who even took the broadcaster's gold necklace before fleeing. Humalon was rushed to the hospital after the incident but was proclaimed dead on arrival. Police have identified at least 3 suspects, including 2 people who entered the house and a getaway driver. According to initial investigations, the suspect initially pretended to ask for the broadcaster's help to make an announcement on a missing item. One of the possible motives that the police are looking at has to do with the suspect's work as a radio host, as well as his attempt to run for councilor in 2022. Another possible angle is theft, as the stolen necklace is reportedly worth around 150,000 pesos. But local authorities say that what is most likely was that Humalon was killed over a personal vendetta.
Recently, the family of the victim had a heated argument with some individuals, which is personal in nature. Then yung conflict nila or yung issue is umabot sa court.
The police have released a computerized composite sketch of one of the suspects, which we're flashing now on your screens. He is estimated to be around 40 years old and above, with a height of 5'5" to 5'6", with medium build and fair complexion. Nahihirapan daw mga police to identify the suspects.
In an ex-post, President Marcos condemned the killing of Humalon. He said he has instructed the PNP to conduct a thorough investigation to swiftly bring the perpetrators to justice. Attacks on journalists will not be tolerated in our democracy, and those who threaten the freedom of the press will face the full consequences of their actions. Misamis Occidental Governor Henry Waminal also released a statement, and it goes, "I'm shocked and I'm in grief as I denounce in the strongest terms the untimely death of radio man Juan Humalon, alias Johnny Walker. I'm ordering Provincial Police Director Colonel Dwight Monato to leave no stone unturned in the investigation of this case. I also request PRO 10 Regional Director Brigadier General Ricardo Layug to investigate the Humalon case and all other cases of atrocities in Misamis Occidental." There have been a number of atrocities just in the past several weeks alone. October 15, just to quickly run it down, IED attack on a convoy of Ominal, that's right, Ominal. And then October 23, you also have a shooting incident of a municipal engineer in Calamba. And then October 28th, there was a grenade attack at the home of Calamba Mayor Luisito Villanueva Jr. So they really need to step up security in these
That's
in
just
this
all. I
region.
realized that's just all within the 2 weeks that I was gone.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And now
It's quite scary.
Yeah, local authorities have now been asked whether there is a gun-for-hire syndicate in the province of Misamis Occidental, and they denied it. Here's what they said.
These are random incidents, no? Hindi natin siya tinitignan as a systematic attacks to certain individuals, to certain groups. There is no known organized crime group in the province.
Sa ngayon po.
Sa ngayon, oh. So we consider this as a motivated attacks, no? May pagka-personal in nature. So it would be unpredictable.
Well, it's not just the violence in Misamis Occidental that's concerning, but Humalon is just the latest in a number of journalist killings in the country. Almost 200 journalists have been killed over the past 3 decades, or since the dictator Marcos Sr. was overthrown. Data from the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines, or NUJP, shows that most of the killings in that time happened during the Gloria Arroyo administration. The number is at 103, with 32 of them being victims of the gruesome 2009 Maguindanao massacre. The total media killings since 1986 is now at 199. 4 of those happened under the current Marcos Jr. administration, including Percy Lapid and Humalon. On November 2, the Committee to Protect Journalists released their 2023 Global Impunity Index, or the list of countries with the worst records on prosecuting killers of journalists. The Philippines ranked 8th in that list, which was topped by countries like Syria, Somalia, and Haiti.
We're going to pause for another quick break for now, but right after that, the cremated remains of Grace Cabrera, one of the 4 Filipinos who died in the Israel-Hamas war, has been brought home. We'll be speaking with Kabayan Party List Representative Ron Salo on his initiatives to protect other OFWs caught in the conflict when we return. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back. You're still watching the big story here on One News. The remains of Grace Cabrera, one of the 4 Filipinos who died in the conflict in Israel, arrived in the country earlier today. Cabrera's ashes will be brought straight to their home in Apalit, Pampanga. Aside from Cabrera, a group of 23 OFWs, including an infant, returned to the country today. They're the 5th batch of repatriates from the war-torn region. On Sunday, 2 more Filipino victims of the conflict in Israel were buried simultaneously. Loretta Alacre, who was shot by Hamas militants while on her way home to Tel Aviv, was brought to her final resting place in Cadiz City. The Cadiz LGU has since named an evacuation center in Barangay Cadiz Viejo after Loretta in recognition of her heroism. Filipino caregiver Angeline Aguirre, on the other hand, was buried in San Carlos, Pangasinan. Aguirre died in Israel after refusing to leave her elderly patient behind during the October 7 Hamas attacks.
Laging nagtatanong yan kung kung talagang mahal niyo ako, anong paborito ko. Napakabait po na anak yan at saka sa mga kapatid niya, maski sa pamangkin.
Some good news naman for Filipinos at the Rafah border crossing, as around 46 Filipinos are scheduled to cross the border to Egypt. The Foreign Affairs Department, however, noted that the number of Filipinos in Gaza who have expressed intent to return to the Philippines has dropped. Of 136 Filipinos in besieged Gaza, only 46 now want to return, far from the original 115. The exodus to Egypt was delayed over the weekend on account of attacks near the Rafah crossing by the Hamas group. But once they are able to cross, the DFA said that the Filipinos are ready to be welcomed by the Philippine Embassy in Egypt.
Nandun po yung ating embahada sa Egypt, all transportation and accommodation provided by government. Tapos within 3 days, kailangan ng iuwi sa Pilipinas yan dahil maiksi lang ang transit visa nila.
To talk more about this, we have with us live in the studio Kabayan Party List Representative Ron Salo, who has been at the forefront in pushing for the security and protection of OFWs. Good evening, Representative. Thanks for coming all the way here to join us live. Let's jump off from that last news item. Out of 136 Filipinos, 46 na lang ang gustong umuwi from Gaza. I wonder if you've heard of any, what possible reasons behind this.
We need to take note that those people, 136 in Gaza, are not OFWs. These are primarily overseas Filipinos or mostly married to Palestinians. So they have a lot of reasons not to leave because I understand the Palestinians will not be allowed to live with them. So it's a big choice. It's really, if you would really read also some of the concerns of other nationalities, the same. It's between ice and water. Where do we really want to, if we are going to leave, would there still be a chance for them to be able to see your loved ones again? So that's one of the big concerns.
That's a very important distinction. So they don't want to leave family behind.
Precisely. Because yes, they will be allowed to live together with your children, but they won't be allowed to live with your husbands or with your spouses.
Are you privy to the negotiations being done at the Rafah crossing? And are you happy with how the DMW and the OWA is dealing with Foreign Affairs Department also when it comes to getting them across the border?
I'm not privy with the discussions or the things being undertaken by the DFA, but this is primarily being undertaken by our embassy. And this is precisely within the ambit of the DFA, because as I mentioned, there's no DMW participation in this particular regard because DMW pertains primarily to OFWs. But these are overseas Filipinos, particularly immigrants or people, Filipinos married
so
to
sila po ay
Palestinians.
under
DFA.
DFA. Okay.
And of course, within the role of our embassies, yung embahada po talaga natin ang in charge, particularly when it comes to negotiation on this matter.
All right. Well, siguro it's a personal choice. It is so hard to leave family, so we're just gonna have to leave that there, no? But tell us more, Kong, about Kabayan Party List. We understand now that it is really focused towards OFWs specifically.
Yes, it's really one of our core advocacies because this particular party list, when I put this up in 2009, I was part of a delegation of the Philippine government in Geneva, Switzerland, on the rights of migrant workers. So I really named it after them because when we go out of this country, when we're abroad, we call each other Kabayan. So that's where it came from. That was the inspiration. But at the same time, we have other core advocacies. Kalusugan, pabahay, kabuhayan, edukasyon, and OFW concerns. We call it Kabayan Plus 2.
With regard to this mess in the Middle East right now, how is Kabayan Party List helping to address the issue of OFWs there? I mean, recently, of course, we know na nagkaroon na nga ng DMW. Does that in any way reduce your role, your capacity, or has it strengthened your advocacy?
It's a continuing advocacy. For one, we note that we're very happy because I am currently the chairperson of the Committee on Migrant Workers Affairs, or COA, or Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs. So I'm privileged, and I thank the Speaker for giving me this opportunity to be of help, better help to our countrymen. So the role of Congress is particularly or primarily oversight. We make sure that the agencies of the government, particularly the DFA, the DMW, and OWA, and other agencies of the government that are in charge of protecting and promoting the rights of our overseas workers are really undertaken within their mandates.
Speaking of the DMW, you actually have a House bill, a proposal, House Bill 8805, seeking to create Migrant Workers Relations Commission. Natawa naman
Yes.
si Sir. I wonder why.
No, I'm just
that
happy
an
because this particular proposed
Would it
measure will be
overlap?
discussed next week in a
Oh,
committee.
perfect. But
Yes.
the point is, do we need one when we already have the DMW? Won't that be a lot of overlap in your...
No, not exactly. Because yung purpose po ng Migrant Workers Relations Commission is equivalent to the National Labor Relations Commission. We have DOLE now. And yung lahat ng mga concerns sa mga workers goes to NLRC kapag nagkakaroon po silang away with your employers.
Correct.
At present, concerns also between yung mga workers natin, overseas workers, as well as their agencies, be it recruitment agency or manning agencies, pumupunta pa rin po yan sa DOLE. And we know for a fact that when we created the DMW, ang main purpose po nito is to make sure that there's an agency that will be in charge of all issues relating to overseas. Kaya lang naiwan ito yung portion na ito. Kasi yung DOLE is supposed to cater to all domestic concerns. Pero as it is now, dahil walang itong MWRC, which I am proposing to be created, lahat ng mga issues or concerns sa mga OFWs, pupunta pa rin po siya sa DOLE. So hindi seamless yung policy.
But would it need to be a separate agency pa? Can't we just change the rules of or the articles of of DMW? So it will be just one cohesive agency, so as to not add to the bureaucratic red tape, which we are already all suffering from.
That's exactly yung main purpose nun, para cohesive siya, one line. DMW, ang kanyang attached agency would be MWRC. Ito yung kanyang quote-unquote arm in ensuring na yung mga concerns sa mga OFWs with respect to their recruitment agencies or employers will be addressed.
So specifically disputes,
yes,
mediation.
dispute ito, mediation, arbitration, etc. Dito yon. Where is a quasi-judicial agency? Kasi sa ngayon, may quasi-judicial agency with domestic work, domestic employment, where is NLRC. So, parallel lang siya. So, it's a mirror office. DOLE, we have NLRC. Now, the MW, you will have MWRC.
So, just to be clear, after, let's say magyari, no, at mapasa yung bill nyo, ang magyayari is lahat ng OFW concerns is all under DMW na.
Yes, precisely.
So, wala nang kinalaman si DOLE?
Yes. Kasi to make sure that our policy when it comes to overseas employment, cohesive siya, iisa lang, isang linya.
How much support do you have for this currently?
Well, I'm very happy because most of the congressmen also have expressed their interest to co-author the bill. So I suppose it's a sign that they are actually very supportive of this measure.
What about in the Senate? As we know, of course, you need support from there as well, or this will not get anywhere. Have you lobbied in the Senate?
Not yet, but I'm very happy that the one sitting there as my counterpart in the Senate is Senator Raffy Tulfo. And I know for a fact that Senator Raffy Tulfo has always been very supportive of the concerns and the promotion of the rights of migrant workers as well.
What made you such a strong advocate for OFW protection and security?
Because as I mentioned to you, one of the reasons when I put up this particular party list, Kabayan, because I was a representative of the Philippine government then on the rights and protection of migrant workers.
Ano para sa iyo yung pinaka problema ng ating mga kababayan?
From my point of view, it's really about what we call empowerment. Meaning, marami sa mga kababayan po natin, umaalis po sila, not exactly understanding yung pupuntahan nila. Kasi, tanda natin, when they go abroad, wala na sila sa Pilipinas. But most of our people would still think and act as if they are in the Philippines.
Meaning, hindi sila familiar muna sa mga patakaran, maybe the culture, the laws.
Culture, everything
Their rights
related
there.
to it. As well as, tatanda natin, hindi katulad sa Pilipinas na anytime na gusto mo umuwi, pwede kang umuwi. Doon, they have a contract. For that particular contract, if it's 2 years, 2 years yun. Hindi ka po pwedeng umuwi. Ito yung madalas na nakakaligtaan ng mga kababayan po natin. So sometimes, yung mga bagong umaalis, ang kadalasan na nagiging rason actually, homesickness. But it's understandable. Sa Pilipinas yan, na homesick ka, madali lang yun, pwede ka umuwi. Humingi ka ng leave, 1 day, 2 days, nakaka-uwi ka. Pero when you're abroad, you cannot just do that. So kaya na yung mga kadalasan na lumalaki yung issue. Ang gagawang maraming lalabas ng kwento po yan because of those particular things. So our people are not exactly empowered, they're not really prepared.
With
most
the
of
knowledge
time.
that they need.
Yes.
How about the undocumented workers? Ito nakikita natin, repatriation from Lebanon, mga 10,000 po yata yung no? Or a significant number is undocumented. I mean, what do you think is leading to that? Is it just because ayaw gumastos, or is it also an empowerment issue?
I think it's an empowerment issue as well. Primarily, kasi may makausap kami nung may 6 na umuwi from Lebanon. Yung isa po doon, tinanong po namin, paano siya nakarating ng Lebanon? Ang kwento niya, doon pa lang, nung nandun po siya sa Saudi Arabia, may kumakontak na po sa kanya na kung gusto niyang pumunta ng Lebanon. Pinapromise sa kanya, mas maayos doon, mas maganda. Then, umuwi siya sa Pilipinas. Then, bumalik po siya sa supposed to be, kaya siya nabigyan ng opportunity ng yung OEC para makabalik ng Saudi Arabia. Kaya siya binigyan kasi pupunta siya supposed to be ng Saudi Arabia. But ang stopover po niya is UAE, sa Dubai. From Dubai, nagantay na lang po siya doon para ayusin yung kanyang papeles, papunta ng Lebanon. So from our point of view, for all intents and purposes, nasa Saudi Arabia siya. Pero lo and behold, nandun pala siya sa Lebanon.
So she was illegally recruited?
Pardon?
She was illegally recruited?
In a sense, yes. Pero yung recruitment, hindi nanggaling dito. Nandun sila, base sila doon. And most of these are actually Filipinos also. Kasi alam na nila siguro yung laws natin because our laws are what we call territorial. Yung jurisdiction po natin, hindi na siya criminal, quote-unquote, kapag hindi na ginawa sa Pilipinas. So, scot-free na sila criminally. Kaya nangyayari po yan doon na sa labas. Kaya it's important to ensure that our people are really educated with respect to the outcomes or possible consequences of that particular decision.
With regard naman to those who do work, the documented workers, the ones who go through the proper channels, hindi po ba, nagtataka lang ako hindi ba trabaho yun ng mga recruitment agency nila? Na to arm them with the knowledge before you send someone to go work? Or...
I completely agree with you. Tama po yan. But that's just one picture. Kasi sometimes yung mga kababayan din po natin, they take it for granted. Sasabihin po nila, it's just for compliance. Kaya mayroon po tayong supposed to be process na bago sila umalis, may pidos para turuan po sila. But oftentimes, they take this as a burden. They consider it as a burden na pupunta po sila doon.
Kasi
hindi nila consider na this is an opportunity for them to be able to understand well yung pupuntahan po nila, for them to be able to be more equipped and prepared for the place that they're going into.
And then just very quickly, Representative Salo, you're also pushing for pension system,
Yes.
a pension system for OFWs. Tell us
Yes.
about it very quickly.
Yes. Sa pag-iikot ko sa iba't ibang lugar, isa lang po talaga yung main aspiration po ng mga kabayan po nating OFWs to have a pension. Kasi sabi po nila, after years of toiling abroad, finally, when they come back to the Philippines, they find themselves without any social protection. And sabi ko, meron na tayong SSS.
Correct.
Why don't you join that? But of course, hindi masyadong nagre-resonate sa kanila yung SSS. For one reason or another, siguro dahil mas gusto nilang tawagin, it should be related to them as OFW. But number two, tandaan po natin yung SSS, well, it's already mandatory now. Lumalabas po na sa mga covered na mga OFW supposed to be, there are around 1,200 supposed to be, but the bigger pictures mas malaki pa po dyan. There are just 500,000 ang nagpa-participate. Why is that so? Kasi lumalabas, it's self-employed ang category. Kapag self-employed, ibig sabihin po nito, they will be paying more.
Sila yung maghuhulog.
Lahat ng kabuuan.
Mula
Ganun
sa
kasi
abroad,
ako
di ba? Yun
Yes.
ang problema.
So,
Kasi
sinasabi
yung
po
naghuhulog sa sarili ko. So pag ang tanong, lahat ng OFW, hindi in charge yung recruitment agency na maghulog para sa kanila. Kailangan sila mismo.
Yung
kung
category nila, yes, self-employed. Kaya yun yung pinupush po natin. Dapat, it will be considered as hindi sila self-employed, kundi employed sila, quote
How
and unquote.
how then do you make the employers pay from around the world, and also how do you make that pension fund sustainable, financially sustainable?
Napakaganda ng tanong mo. But at the same time, to make sure na yung recruitment agencies will also be mandated to support their participation. And number two, in this particular proposed measure, may mga other sources of funds po tayo. Kasi sa ngayon, kung self-employed ka lang, and also the SSS, saan nanggagaling funds po nila? Particularly from membership fees. Whether from the worker or the employer. Ngayon, in this particular proposal po natin, may mga other sources of funds. For example, may mga pinupondo ang ating gobyerno when it comes to repatriation. May mga remains po,
May mga OWA
remainder po
fees
yan.
di ba?
Yes.
May binabayad sa OWA.
Yes,
Yeah.
pero separate po yun kasi iba yung purpose po nun. But there are also other fees. For example, mga recruitment agencies, nagbabayad po ang mga yan. I suppose dapat ibigay na yan para dito sa fund na we're trying to create. May mga impositions, may mga fines, etc. Dapat idagdag na dito, ilagay.
Kung may nakikita ko Pascal na extra na po, pero mabilisan lang. Meron po ba kayong tanggapan for OFWs or do you solely function as a legislator?
Well, I was function as a legislator. So may office po tayo, but at the same time, meron din tayong Facebook page. Meron din akong opisina sa Muntinlupa because that's where I hail from. So I come from. So doon. At the same time, anytime pwede po nila tayong tawagan o lapitan.
And of course, you gotta give us an update on how that hearing goes for your Migrant Workers Relations Commission, sorry.
As well as the OFW pension.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the pension.
Okay, we're going to have to leave that there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Kabayan Party List Representative Ron Salo.
Well, what a Monday.
I know.
Welcome back. What a welcome back to both of you.
What a big news day today.
It is. And so we'll just see you tomorrow because we have run out of time for tonight.
But more stories to come. We are One News All Sides all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.